You know, I'm one of the guys out here who will defend hip hop, but also call it the hypocrisy in hip hop. And when I speak about hip hop in general or today's hip hop, I don't speak about it from a biased point of view. I feel like there's some positive things that are going on in today's hip hop, and there's also some negative things that we need to work on as far as hip hop. But we also have a group of individuals who are neither artists within the hip hop culture or just, journalists or people who just are have professional careers within the culture of hip hop that go against everything that hip hop was started for, which was being the voice of the inner city, having that political charge, holding a mirror up to America and saying, look, this is what you created, whether it was from just the black community or whether it was from just the world in general. Holding that picture up and really saying what it really is and not sugarcoating or go along with a narrative in order to get brownie points or to be considered the safe Negro. And I ran across an article of RZA. If you guys are not familiar with RZA, he's from the Wu-Tang Clan. I was a big Wu-Tang Clan member when when I was coming up as a kid. Wu-Tang Clan, nothing to fuck with. Cream, Get the Money, all those records. I was a big Wu-Tang fan. And over the years, we seen a lot of these cats go in different directions. You got Method Man, he's, doing this rap thing with the movies and everything. RZA's out here, he's kind of trying to stump into the Hollywood game or whatever. Raekwon, is doing his thing, etc., etc. But I read an article on RZA, which was a member of the Wu-Tang Clan. This is a quote that he said when he was asked some questions about the Black Lives Matter movement and as far as police brutality that is happening heavily within the black community. This is what he said. Of course, Black Lives Matter. All lives matter. I stopped eating meat because their lives matter to me. So basically what this guy is saying is that he's relating the struggle that black Americans have day in and day out with police brutality, with racism, with white supremacy, with a systematic system that is basically trying to keep us as a permanent underclass. He's relating that to cows, okay, and an animal that is sacrificed in order for us humans to eat. Now, there was some other statements that the RZA made, going back to the whole thing that Hernando Rivera was saying. What was that, about last year or 2 years ago, when he was basically playing into this whole narrative that, if black folks stop wearing hoodies or we stop wearing the quote unquote hip hop gear, then we won't be targets or we won't get harassed by the cops. And this is another quote that he said. When you think about some of the brothers who are being brutalized by the police, you also got to have them take a look and us take a look in the mirror. This guy really doesn't know how to talk, but okay. At the image we portray. Here's another quote from him. If I'm a cop and every time I see a young black youth, whether I watch them on TV, movies, or just see them hanging out and they're not looking properly dressed, properly refined. I want to say that again, properly refined. You guys keep that term in your mind. Carrying himself, conducting himself properly through hours of the day, things that men do, you're going to have a certain fear and a certain stereotype of them. So the RZA, his whole logic is that if we basically conform to what white folks want us to conform to, meaning, dressing how they prefer us to dress, speaking, walking like they want us to speak and walk, then magically all this police brutality will go away, all the racism will go away, and black folks won't be looked at as a threat to society. Now, what I want to remind the RZA out here is that there was a time when there was no such thing as hip hop, okay? And black men and black women used to dress very professionally just to even go to the supermarket down the street. Brothers would have on suit and ties. They have a pair of slacks on, suspenders or whatever. dressed sharp, and they were still harassed by the police. They were still caught hanging from trees. Look at Emmett Till. The images that we've seen all through the media, or that, his mother, God rest her soul, showed us, Emmett Till was a well sharp young brother. And what happened to him? He still was brutally killed and thrown in the goddamn river. He still had to face racism. Look at brothers like Dr. King and Malcolm X. Those guys were still harassed in this country. Did they have, hoodies on, or, a fitted cap to the back, or, their pants hanging off their ass? No. And the point I'm trying to make is that, it really sickens me when we have black Americans that feel like if we go along to get along, or we adapt, which is why I had an issue with what Isaiah Washington said. If we somehow adapt, or we go along with the system, or we do things to quote unquote not bring attention to us, somehow all these things are going to change, which is complete bullshit. And, I think we really have to get out of the mindset of, doing the same thing we've been doing for over the past 500 years and thinking that that's going to change something. And it's time, maybe it's because I'm young and I know my history, and I know what we've gone through and the tactics that we tried to put in place to try to change not only the system and how it treats us, but to change white folks' mindset towards us. And how I see that really has not made too much of a change. It's time that we go in a different direction. But, my whole thing with RZA is I think, he's basically out here searching for a nigga snack, because he's getting into Hollywood. He's trying to get these movie roles. He was just in a joint with, I believe, Paul Walker, which his acting was terrible in there, I might add. But he's basically trying to get a cosign, and he's searching for a nigga snack from these white folks. So he figured, let me come out here, let me talk about Black Lives Matter and say all lives matter. And let me say, well, maybe if you black guys just stop wearing hoodies, or maybe if you guys stop wearing hip-hop clothes, or you guys stop wearing these baseball caps to the back, maybe these cops wouldn't look at you as a threat, and maybe police brutality would just stop. But RZA needs his ass kicked for these comments. And, this is some cooning shit to the third power. I lost respect for this brother, you know what I mean? He can rap, but I definitely lost respect for him as a man, because when you see what's going on with, Tamir Rice, a young kid that resembles Emmett Till. I don't know if you guys have seen this young boy's picture, and you put his picture up next to Emmett Till. These guys look like twins. Okay, but we just had that situation. You had the Trayvon Martin thing, another thing with, somebody prejudging a young black male for wearing a hoodie on a rainy night, which ultimately Trayvon Martin ended up losing his life from that. When we look at the Jordan Davis thing, when we look at Oscar Grant, I can go on and on, all these senseless crimes. When we add it up and we do the math, it does not matter what you are wearing, what type of role you try to, play in front of these white folks, how you try to speak, or you try to talk uppity as if you're some, we would still face racism and prejudgment. But I think it's time that us as a people, we start waking the fuck up out here. And these people who are out here cooning, whether they're on TV, whether, they're within music or whatever, we got to start supporting these people. So the next movie RZA's in, the next bullshit album he dropped, don't support it, don't talk about it, don't say nothing about it. And definitely don't put your dollars behind it. But the only way we're going to stop a lot of this stuff that's going on out here is that, for one, we have to take control of our dollar bills. We have to gain power by our dollar. And, I've said that. It's a lot of other cats out here who have said that. Nothing gets nobody's attention more than a dollar bill. We got to get out here and vote. But not just vote, we got to make these people out here work for us. Don't just let them go into church, say hallelujah and rub shoulders with the black pastor, and all of a sudden you give them your vote. No, make these motherfuckers work out here. But it's sad that we got so many black folks out here within entertainment cooning. I mean, they've came out. The last 2 years, I mean, we've had coon after coon after coon just come out and start buck dancing. And, it's sad, man, because, I remember a time when in sports and in Hollywood or whatever, we had cats out there. It wasn't a lot of them, but we had cats out there who would stand up. I'm not saying that there hasn't been brothers and sisters who have spoken and stood up in today's time, but we had more self pride and more self respect back then. I think we really need to get back to that, because it's like, I mean, these people who have the microphone in their face day in and day out seem to be scared to speak the truth.